Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome back. Delighted to have in the studio with us today Jim Yahne. He's the founder of the Tree of Life Wilderness Expedition, and we're going to talk to him about that and some things that they got going on there, outdoor wilderness program. Hi, Jim. How you doing, bud?
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Well, what's going on?
Well, I'm just coming over the hill from Klamath Falls this morning again, and we're just excited about a new step with Tree of Life. We've had a pretty good season this year, and we just had our state site review.
Wow.
I'm catching my breath here. I had to find your new building.
Yeah.
But we had a site review, and so as a license program that provides care to people, we just had our records reviewed and looking at the service that we provide, and
good.
It was pretty nice just to see that a Christian wilderness program that's being developed is going through its pioneering stage, and it's just been approved for another 2-year license.
Oh, that's wonderful. Tell our audience, what is it that Life Wilderness does?
Tree of Life Wilderness is a 21 to 60 day average.
Wow.
Type of service that really does a kind of an intensive discipleship program that does biblical counseling. And so basically it's an alternative to the traditional maybe treatment service that a person might go to an in-house program. Mm-hmm. They come with us and basically go through an assessment, do some skill building, and really participate as a kind of a small family unit.
Wow.
Out in a wilderness setting.
And it works.
And it works.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah, in fact, it's just been really nice. We just finished up a trip.
Wow.
And had a couple of young guys. We actually had four young people, a guy here from the Rogue Valley, a guy from over in Klamath Falls, a kid from up in northern Oregon, and a youth from Arizona.
Wow.
And we climbed mountains and rafted rivers and just studied in discipleship walks, and just talked to the families, and both families who were pretty concerned about the direction their kids were going through are reporting that things are going in really nice directions, and they feel like the intervention that happened with their families went really well.
Jim, of all things you do, what are the problem areas you target most?
You know, we're kind of known as an addiction intervention program, but you know, I always like to look at that the scripture talks about that apart from faith, anything apart from faith is our sin. Mm-hmm. And so really the hard issue is, how are we separated in our faith? How are we separated from each other? And so kind of our heart of our message is the cross. It's not just a wilderness program, it's a cross program.
Right.
And so I would say that the issue is really about how are we reconciled in our relationship. That's the issue. That's
wonderful. Do you target a certain demographic?
When you say demographic, you mean?
Age group?
Tree of Life as a license program is a 13 to 18 age group, but I'm a licensed or certified here in Oregon at a master's level addiction counselor, and we have a social worker and medical doctor that works with our team. And so we just had a 36-year-old man who was married and had a business and had been on painkillers for most of the last 20 years, and had never had more than 2 weeks without being hooked on the medicine. And he's actually celebrating a little over 4 months today. He was a trip from a few months ago, and so has had great victory in his life. And we've actually had a few different adults this year. So it's pretty much 13 and older. They have to be cleared by a medical doctor in order to participate in the program. And so we're not a detox center, but once a person has been medically cleared and capable of participating in treatment services, discipleship services, if you will, then we're ready to go for a walk.
All right, good. Let me give you Jim's website. It's tlcwe.org. tlcwe.org. You may want to check that out, and he'll get you out one of these brochures.
Those are printable off the website.
They are?
We're encouraging people to like us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page now that has some great pieces on it.
Tree of Life Christian Wilderness Expeditions. When's your next one?
We'll be running a trip in October is the plan right now. We're just coming home and kind of taking a break and to check in. We're actually trying to just raise awareness that Tree of Life even exists.
Right.
And one of our big challenges is for folks to understand that we're not just a Christian camp service, but really counseling that's going on. Since I talked to you last year, we had a 15-year-old girl and lived through Christmas and New Year's out in the snow last year.
Really?
And so we did a 21-day trip out in the wilderness and in the snow, and had that family restored. And
wow.
it was pretty powerful. There was that issue was around anger and a lot of unforgiveness. And through that person being able to just be honest with their own heart and be restored in her relationship with the Lord, she was able to come back and be a part of her family and walk in newness, and her family and her school and the counselor that she worked with has all reported pretty good results since then.
So how long will your expedition be in October?
That should be, like I said, it's kind of based upon individual needs. So, we can have folks who come for 20, 3 to 6 weeks is real common. 3 to 4 weeks is a pretty good standard. Part of our process is to see people restored to their community and their family, either their school or their job, and not be involved in, if they don't need to be involved in long-term care, we want to see people, back involved in trusting in the Lord and taking care of their responsibilities.
This is fascinating, and you deal a lot with students. I mean, I realize there's probably a lot of drug issues, but what about, you had one with anger, what about depression?
Depression is a pretty common term that comes up. If it's a real clinical depression, again, they have to be cleared by a doctor. So if they're at the point where they're not able to move, if they're kind of glued to a couch or on medications that wouldn't allow them to be out in the field, we have to have them seen by a doctor and cleared that they're actually able to participate. But depression, and very commonly with young people, some type of boredom, a challenge to their heart. What we really look at is that the scripture talks about that without a vision, the people perish. Yeah. And so what we really are involved in is not so much about what we're not going to do anymore, but about where are we going? What's our purpose or the direction in our lives?
It's just fabulous. And are you on the move all the time, or you go to a place and for a while and then you move to another place?
We mostly move almost every day. I think I've shared with you before that our expeditions are really kind of the metaphor of the children of Israel leaving Egypt. And we walk through a wilderness experience, but the inside wilderness of the heart is really about what are we trying to leave behind, and we're involved in this active walk. And so that process is, it's rare that we ever stay in a place more than 2 or 3 days. And usually it's just about a new camp every night. I think of the John Corson here, wrote the book about, cloud by day and fire by night. Yeah. And I'm looking, okay, where do we go next?
Yeah.
But our journey really is towards, our mission is based out of Isaiah 57. And it's basically to see people led to a trust in the Lord, to rebuild the road in their life, and to see people set free.
How did you come upon this? How did you get called to do this?
Well, I was a youth.
We all were once.
Yeah. And I actually had a Youth for Christ group. I ended up at McLaren School for Boys when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And I was probably not, in real bad trouble, but I was in enough that I kept trying to do things my own way. And so, again, there, instead of being able to follow direction or whatever, I was kind of pioneering then, I think, in some ways. But I went to school there at McLaren, and out of about 300 kids at the time, 16 of us were picked up by a Youth for Christ group, and we summited Mount Hood. Wow. And at that time, it was a pretty serious challenge to my heart, and I felt like later on, I just really felt like God had reached out through these young men who were equipped and walked with us. And so I just really had a passion for walking with people and sharing what had been shared with me. And so we did youth ministry and camp ministries for a long time. And then a few years ago, we started seeing that probably a pretty small percentage, but many people sometimes don't get at a community level what they need, and they end up being sent away or separated from their families and either sent to a camp, or you see divorce or people kicked out or run away. They end up either getting hospitalized, incarcerated, or separated on some level.
Wow. All right, let me again tell you this. It's TLCWE. That stands for Tree of Life Christian Wilderness Expeditions. That's tlcwe.org. Next expedition coming up in October. And how many do you normally take? I mean, you keep the group small, don't you?
You almost read my mind.
Yeah.
I wanted to share was that very commonly our license allows us to take up to 10 people. But in the last 10 years, our largest group has been 5, and most of the trips this year has been with one individual at a time. Wow. It makes it harder for us the cost effectiveness of it at one person at a time, because it costs almost the same to take one person as it does 10. Yeah. Ideally, what we'd like to do is invite folks who think that this kind of a ministry is a good thing to partner with us and share in some way. We'd like to sponsor camps and be able to serve more people.
All right.
And so to really answer your question, usually 2-3 people most.
But how impacting is that? That's just got to be incredible.
Very individualized care. Again, real different from camps where you're in a great experience of adventure in Christian camps and ministry that way, but to be able to really address issues of the heart, to be in a small setting like this, we really emphasize this the W in wilderness and the E in expeditions, is that it's a we thing, and so our relationship with Christ being reflected in our relationships with each other.
Well, folks, pray about it. Maybe you want to help sponsor some kids to do this. Maybe you know somebody that needs it, or you yourself, or somebody in your family. Get a hold of Jim right away at it's tlcwe.org. Got that? tlcwe.org. And the phone number, 541-281-2956. One other thing?
I was going to say, if I can mention, on Saturday the 27th, I see Foundations for Recovery has just been on your show.
Yeah.
And we're going to be attending that. We'll have one of our guides and our board of directors, and if folks would like to come out and ask questions or anything, we'll also be a part of the recovery fair.
All right, the Foundation for Recovery, a big event coming up the 26th and the 27th, and that's going to be in the park right behind the post office in Central Point, so Jim and his crew will be there. All right, good to see you, friend. God bless you for what you do. All right, we'll be right back.